good afternoon. Hi everybody, thank you so much for watching my videos. I put a video on the other day called Losing Friends, which is about the reality of how it feels to lose friends whilst you are unwell. And as all of you who are watching my videos are my friends and are my supporters, then I wanted to do a video today about the flip side of that situation, which is when you are looking after a loved one yourself and the effects that this has on you and your own emotions. Health crises can come in so many different forms. They can be a diagnosis out of the blue, an accident, a chronic illness that's difficult to diagnose, maybe a day-to-day condition that your loved one lives with, and you are on the outside of that watching whilst your friend is dealing with this. It's completely natural and normal to feel an enormous amount of negative emotion whilst you are close to your loved one. Did you know, I think the percentage I was given is that 70% of caregivers also have a health condition they're dealing with themselves. I actually think that the percentage may be higher than that. So it's possible that it's a kind of double-edged sword for you as well, where you've got things going on that you need to sort out for yourselves or cope with on a day-to-day basis. When you are experiencing the feelings of grieving for your loved one's health, it can hit you as hard as a full-on bereavement, like a death in the family. You will feel really sad, very anxious potentially, extremely angry and frustrated. I mean, you don't want your friend to be unwell. You want them to get better. You want to make it better for them. I think it's so important to acknowledge what happens to your own emotions when you are the loved one, when you're the one watching and observing, and possibly even having a full-on caregiving role. Especially, for example, if you're married. I know from my own experience, and I know from watching how my husband's doing whilst he's observing the way that my illnesses have an effect on me. I know from that it's vital for those negative feelings to be identified and released, because caring for a loved one can even lead to quite serious anxiety and depression for yourself. It's like when you're in an airplane and before you give the oxygen to your child, you make sure you have oxygen yourself. You need oxygen. You need your physical health to be attended to, your mental health and your emotional health. You need the emotional energy it takes to take care of someone. Now, that might even be a situation where it's not so close to home, and it's still important to acknowledge those feelings taking place. When I've watched some of my friends lose their health, I know I have felt helpless, overwhelmed. I've cried buckets. It's affected my sleep. I've felt very anxious for them. And I feel sad too, because as they are battling with whatever's affecting their health, sometimes they lose parts of their lives that they were used to having. Well, that is so distressing to watch. It's so distressing to encounter and not always be able to do anything about. At least that's how it feels. If you don't acknowledge those feelings, I've already mentioned that this can actually have quite a negative toll on your own emotional health, but it also makes it harder for you to sustain caregiving for your friend. I think it's really important to be able to find an outlet for those emotions, as sometimes it's just really tempting to kind of push them aside. I mean, you want to love your friend or your loved one and give them support, so that normally is associated with, you know, feeling warm and fuzzy and having happy times together. What happens when actually those times are punctuated by times of overwhelming grief or fear, and you're the one that's going through that? Well, guess what? That is absolutely valid. That's absolutely normal. Depending on how your friend is doing as well, depending on how well they're coping, might influence your mood. You know, it can be a roller coaster journey watching somebody being unwell. They could be up one minute and down the next. They could plummet down a massive tunnel of anxiety or lost themselves that you're just so scared what's going to happen to them. How are they going to cope, and therefore how are you going to cope? I hope that I've managed to touch on some of the emotions that you can experience as a loved one. And I'm going to call this video part 1. Video part 2 is to look at more of the practical aspects of supporting a friend. And I would really appreciate some feedback on this. I'm so passionate about this. This is take number 6 on this video, because the last 5 haven't worked. I would really appreciate some feedback. Let me know if I've hit the tone right, and you know, feel free to private message me if you've got questions to ask, or you're in a situation yourself where you're like, I'm struggling with this, because it can make you feel really, really guilty. I mean, you're not the one going through it, so how come you're feeling this bad? Anyway, I'll speak to you soon. Bye.